Hey, Undisputed listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. I missed you guys.
Yeah.
How are we doing today?
Well, you know, I'm back just in time to congratulate LeBron James on winning this year's NBA championship. It is over. The Clippers say, no mas, we're out. Congratulations.
Oh, that's what they said?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw me and old Lou.
Yeah,
me
you
and
were
Lou
down.
back at the crib.
You were there. You might have instigated
No,
this.
I didn't instigate that.
You did.
How you doing, Skip? You having a
I'm
good time?
just doing not great.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
I'm sure it is. Way to go.
Yeah.
Tough way to start. Of course, Shannon has something to do with this. And Skip briefly mentioned, yes, the Clippers in the news over the weekend for kind of the wrong reasons. Let's get right to it. The Clippers will be without Lou Williams for their first game back against the Lakers on Thursday night. Williams will need to quarantine for 10 days after he was spotted at an Atlanta gentleman's club during an excused absence from the NBA bubble in Orlando. According to reports, Williams went to the establishment to get dinner. Shannon, how bad is this?
I've been trying to tell you and Jenny, Skip. That food there,
Yeah,
I'm trying to tell you, you ain't want to hear me.
Nope.
Not everybody talking about it.
Yeah.
Even Johnny Manziel said it's the best strips he had ever.
That strip he's at?
Strips.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about chicken strips.
Oh,
There
okay,
you go,
okay.
Skip, baby. Going somewhere else with this, and I didn't want to go there. Skip, look. Lou special at this establishment, Skip. He got his own
dish.
Yeah. The sweet Lou lemon pepper barbecue.
Yeah. Barbecue wings. Yeah.
Skip.
He's got it. No, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
Skip, as upset as I would like to be, some things are just like, this can't be true. This can't be real. He left the bubble for a very serious reason. And instead of saying, you know what, guys, the bubble is more than I can take, I'm just going to stay where I'm at, and y'all go ahead and have at it. He understands, Skip, they're testing every single day. And what they're trying to do is that they put all these guys in a bubble, these 20, 22 teams in a bubble, because they want to try to limit the amount of contact they can have outside with someone possibly having that virus, bringing it in, and then there goes the season. And Lou put a lot of people at risk. And I understand, hey, he said he went to get dinner. That's fine and good. I get all that. And a lot of people making jokes. Even I made a joke about it. But Skip, in all honesty, Lou was wrong for this. And he knows he was wrong. Skip, the difference between a professional athlete, especially a lot of successful people, and other people is that the sacrifices that made along the way. There are people that went to school, and I know when Lou went to South Gwinnett. There were guys that just as talented as Lou, but maybe didn't make the sacrifices. There were guys that went to school with Shannon Sharpe, was just as talented, but didn't make the sacrifices. Lou was being asked to make a sacrifice. Say, Lou, for the next 2 to 3 months, we're gonna ask you to make sacrifices. So you didn't make that sacrifice, Lou. You were willing to put not only your teammates, but what about the other guys in harm's way? Not guys, Kawhi don't say much, but Kawhi gonna be looking at him like, bruh, we trying to win a title. Are you serious?
Yep.
Paul George gonna be looking at him like, bruh, come on. Doc is upset. You can't do this, Skip. But I get it. Like I said, he left for a very serious reason. But in the process, go for what you went for and get back as quickly as possible and minimize the potential of coming in contact with someone and possibly spreading the virus. And I know he says, hey, he went to grab dinner. Okay, he grabbed dinner. Skip, look, you and I both know. Had that guy, and that's why, you see, you got to be careful with them cameras, Skip. Them cameras, man, you know what? Them cameras have been the downfall of a lot of people, ladies, Skip. Got a lot of people in trouble. You and I both know. Had this guy not took that photo of Lou and tweeted it, tagged him in it, Lou was not going to come back and tell the NBA security and say, guys, I went to this establishment and I might have come in contact with someone potentially that might have had the virus. He wasn't going to do that. It was because he got exposed. Again, Lou, you were wrong for this. Lou know he was wrong for this. And you can't put, not only, you put this whole bubble, you put them at risk, and now you got to go quarantine for 10 days. You're going to miss the first 2 meaningful ball games, Skip.
Yep.
He's wrong.
Lou, they playing first?
I don't know who they play. They got to do it.
Yep.
But the way they went, Jenny, the catfish nuggets, the strips, and the wings, bye. We going next time.
I got a whole lot to say about this, and Lou Williams ain't going to like it. And I used to love Lou Williams. And yet, when I sat reading this story, I believe it was on Saturday, I believe it was at the same time I was watching LeBron James and the Lakers scrimmage Orlando. And it hit me right between the eyes. There is no way this Clippers team that has already a bunch of problems going on besides Lou Williams, there is no way this team is going to beat the Los Angeles Lakers in the conference finals, because this Clippers team, on the path it's on right now, ain't going to get to any conference finals, because this team feels fractured. It feels like it's suffering maybe even a minor mutiny here of a lot of players who don't want to be in the bubble, starting with Lou Will. So the man who has often rescued this team on the basketball court, the reigning sixth man of the year, just set fire to what's left of the Clippers season, because that is inexcusable. That is the ultimate selfish act of betrayal.
What?
This bubble is tough. I get it. And they're all spoiled brats in their own way. They all came up privileged in their own way through the basketball system, AAU all the way up. They've all been coddled. They've all been spoiled. And all of a sudden they're being asked to be inside a quarantine bubble. Right. And it's hard on them, because you got to kind of sit in your room and watch movies or play video games or hang out with the fellas. It's like you go back to AAU and then it feels college-like. The Lakers feel like a college team to me right now, because they're trying to have a blast just hanging together and playing together and being together and hooping together. And it's all about basketball. And they're all in. They're all for one and one for all. And the Clippers have 5 guys who've been in and out, up and down, right and left.
In the bubble, out the bubble.
Out of the bubble. And they're all different quarantine levels going on. And they're going to have about 2/3 of a team on Thursday night for the opening game. And I don't get it, because I thought Lou Williams cared a little more than that for his team. So at first it was reported that Lou went to Atlanta, and you made the point, he's from Snellville, which is just like 30 miles northeast of Atlanta. So
that is correct.
Would you consider it kind of a suburb, right? Okay, so he's got Atlanta roots.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do believe this is his favorite restaurant, and you point out he's got that dish that's named for him. So I get that, and I don't blame him for loving that food. That's fine with me. But at first, it was reported he went to his grandfather's funeral. And then by last night, the reports started changing, because the NBA looked hard into it, because they hit him with the max. They hit him with 10 games of quarantine.
They look at it, just kick him out.
Because, that's true. That is true. But they found out that this was actually the funeral of a close friend of the family's father, okay? All right. Now, I'm not dismissing that or discounting that at all. But I'm going to remind you that Alex Caruso, who plays a pretty key role for your Lakers, just a week ago Saturday, his sister got married down, I'm sure somewhere near College Station where he grew up. And it's a hot spot. And they warned him, if you go, you're going to get hit with the max quarantine coming back from Texas. And he said, you know what? This is more important right now. My teammates are more important to me. I cannot subject them to that. So I'm not going to make it to my sister's wedding. So I don't want to try to rate and compare, just did the friend of, the father of a close friend, did that mean more than Alex Cruz's sister? I have no idea.
Right.
But let's just say it probably didn't. Let's just say there was a way Luke could have said, you know what? I'm going to take one for the team here. I'm going to send my best wishes. I'm going to call everybody, but I just can't participate right now in a gathering. And I don't know how many viewed the body, but it was a viewing, okay? And then they all up as a group and say, let's go to Magic City. So all of a sudden, Lou has gone from the Magic Kingdom to Magic City. And there is...
It's more fun at the city, for sure.
You better believe it would be for somebody who's trapped in the bubble, right?
Yes.
And there's no I in team, but there are two I's in Magic City, right? Yes. And here he went with this group. And so he's in a group, and it's not cool because now we're going to talk later about the NFL sent out a new rule of protocol. You cannot be with 15 or more people.
Right.
And I don't know if 15 went to Magic City as a group, but it may have been.
Right.
And that white rapper, Jack Harlow, was part of I read he was part of the group. I don't know if he was just there or if he was part of the family and friends.
Right.
And he did have one hit. What's Poppin'? I don't know if you know what's poppin' because it featured Lil Wayne, but whatever. The point is that he takes a picture, like it looked like it could have been a selfie of the two of them together. And when you take a picture, you know what's about to happen. Don't you know?
Yes.
Don't you know what could happen?
Skip, and we've all been, listen, if you're a professional athlete, it's hard for me to believe that you haven't been someplace where you shouldn't have been. Someone sees you, and bro, let me get this picture.
Here.
No, because I'm not supposed to be here.
Right.
And if this gets out,
and
it's over.
And you pose with your mask on, and then Jack Harlow tries to delete it and say that was an old picture. He's got his Orlando bubble mask on.
Thank you.
You're busted. It's over. We got you. And then Lou said, well, there were no entertainers at Magic City at that moment. I just went and looked at the website last night and it said, we are open for business with our entertainers from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. every day of the week.
Lou, I'm from Atlanta.
Come on.
Atlanta ain't shut down nothing.
No entertainers?
Atlanta has not shut down anything.
Stop it.
The gyms, the hair salons, the nail salon, all those places, the adult entertainment, all of them are still open.
Thank you. So as I'm reading this story, I'm watching your man LeBron James, to his credit. They're playing Orlando, not a very good team. It's a scrimmage. LeBron James has played the third most minutes in the history of the NBA, and he's out there playing all three of the first three quarters. All three of them. He played them straight through. Three quarters. When they came out for the second half and LeBron's on the court, I'm saying, what are you doing? Well, I know what he's doing. He's saying, I'm going to play my way into peak shape because I have an opportunity here to just go grab this championship right by the throat. It's just sitting there for me to grab it by the throat. And he's saying, I will do everything in my power to get ready right here, right now. And reportedly, he didn't bring his his team around him.
His entourage, his chef, his physio, and all those guys.
Because he's trying to be one of the fellas. And I admire it greatly because this is a time to sacrifice for team. This is not a time to go to Atlanta. Look, if Lou had gone to the viewing of the body, gone to the viewing, and then said, look, I got to duck, I got to go, got to get straight back. I'm going to be here for a half hour, and I'm going straight back. I'd say, well, okay. But when you go to dinner at your favorite restaurant, it's not fair to your team.
Skip, even if that's his favorite restaurant, you have to understand, Skip, he didn't go to Chops. He didn't go to what people would consider a normal restaurant.
He did not.
So this is where he ran into trouble. And I believe, and when Lou says that's his favorite restaurant, Skip, I believe him. I believe, like I said, obviously I've gone, and the food is good, Skip, but the fact of the matter is that he went there. And the quarantine, you're in a bubble, and the NBA is doing everything they possibly can to limit the possible infection of that. So they gonna look, we're gonna test you every day, and Skip, if you miss a test, remember Kristaps Porzingis missed a test, he had to miss the game.
Got it.
So in Zion, he went away, he had to deal with a family emergency. Minimum is 4 days. Okay, he got the max. But he lucky. Under those circumstances, commissioner was well within his right to say, nah, Lou, you're not taking this thing serious enough. You're putting other people at risk.
10 games.
No, just going home.
Yeah, I mean 10 days of quarantine. You're going to miss the first 2 games.
Exactly. So Skip, and you know what? It's 2 games, but that's the difference between being the 2 seed, the 3 seed, and possibly having to deal with the Rockets the first round. That's what you're going, because I don't believe they can catch, Skip, I do not believe they can catch the Lakers. 5.5 games with 8 games to play.
Probably not.
I don't believe they can catch the Lakers. But Lou, this is really a bad look, Skip, because as you mentioned, this looks really selfish. And you know what great players are selfish in a good way, which means they do a lot of things and they deny themselves. Tom Brady has denied. Tom Brady's played 20 years. Giselle has basically had to be the mom and the dad because she has to get the kids ready, get them to and from. Peyton Manning, the greater the player, Skip, the more selfish that he is. But Lou was selfish in a bad way. And this is not a very good look for Lou Will. And he knows it's not a good look, Skip. Like I said, if he'd gone to Chops, he'd gone to one of these nice restaurants in ATL, people like, okay, he went with his family and friends, okay. But he can't, come on, Skip.
Come on now. So I guess they're not worried looking over their shoulder at here comes Denver, here comes Utah, here comes Oklahoma City, and they could fall in the seedings and really cost them. So it looks like this team has given up the 8 seeding games, as they're calling them, the last of the regular season before the playoffs start, because I don't know exactly what's been going on. Patrick Beverley's been out for a while. These are all personal family reasons. Trez is still out, but they say he's coming back.
But if he come back, he's going to miss the first game. You got to get 4 days. You get minimum 4 days, 4 days of quarantine.
Landry Shamit's been gone, but he just got back. Big Zoo, I think, is still out for reasons I don't know. So Lou Williams, remember, he was on the bubble, so to speak, about whether he wanted to even go to the bubble in the first place. But he used as his reason, it's time to care more about Black Lives Matter. Okay, great.
There's a lot of black lives the way he went to.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. Touche. I agree. That's what it comes off as. It just seems like you just didn't feel like quarantining in the bubble. You didn't feel like making those kind of sacrifices. And he said, well, we met as a team and we voted as a team. Let's do this together. Well, they've had 5 guys out for reasons I don't know. Maybe they just said, it's too long to be there, because it's a long time. And it's a long time to build up to just the 3 scrimmages. And it's a long time to build up to the first game this coming Thursday, Friday nights. And it's a long time to get ready just for the playoffs. And it seems like a bunch of the Clippers said, you know what? We don't want to be there. Not for this.
Skip, you know, look, a lot of these guys come from backgrounds that's very impoverished and they didn't have a lot. But a lot of these guys make millions now. So, Skip, you make millions and you're just like everybody else. You can't go and come as you see fit. And you're like, huh? Man, I make 8, 10, 12, $25 million a year, and I got to just sit here in my room and order room service? I can't go nowhere?
I don't have my wife. I don't have my girlfriend. Whatever. You know? And lose at Magic City?
Lou at the city. Lou at the city. Skip, look.
What are you doing?
If you go to Atlanta, you gotta go at least once. You go to the King Center first. You go to a Coca-Cola Museum. You go to the aquarium. And you got to go to the city. You got to hit the city up. But let's be real, Lou. The food is banging, but you went for some other reasons, too.
I believe he went for some other reasons,
There might have been some thighs, some breasts, and some butts you wanted to see. Okay, let's just tell the truth, Lou.
Okay,
so
there you go.
People.
So then I had to sit on Saturday and watch the Clippers scrimmage.
How they look?
The Washington Wizards.
How they look?
They looked horrible. Kawhi Leonard played the worst stretch of basketball I have ever seen him play. And I've been watching him since he was a rookie. And he looked completely out of it. He went 3 for 16 from the field in the first half. He went 0 for 8 from the three-point line. And his body language said, if my team doesn't care, I don't really care about being here either. That's what it looked like.
Because Kawhi, Skip, he's not one of these vocal leaders and go say, guys, what the hell are we doing? Are we serious about this? That's not what he is. Kawhi is a leader by example. You watch the way he plays. You watch the way he gets ready for the games. That's his leadership style. He's not a guy he doesn't strike me. I could be wrong, Skip, but looking at him, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to huddle guys up and says, guys, come on, what are we doing? I mean, are you taking this serious, Lou? I mean, you left and you were supposed to go take care of this and you doing that. And these guys are all over. So what are we doing? Are we trying to win a title or not? Because I came here for one simple reason. Doc Rivers and ownership and management convinced me that I could win a title here. And they were going to do everything they possibly could. You guys Skip, remember they took 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, they took 2 games off Golden State last year without Kawhi and without Paul George.
They did.
So Kawhi was like, man, this is a great place, but y'all don't seem to be taking this thing serious.
Nope. This has got to be tearing Doc Rivers apart.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is a strong leader, but he's got no one or not enough to lead. All of his strength is gone. But Trez and Pat Bev. And
Skip, and Lou is very unique. And it might be the only time in the history of the NBA, Skip. There are very few times. Vinnie Johnson had this. Yeah. But Skip, the third best player on the team, that they put the ball in his hand late in ball games.
They do.
And say, go make plays. Either make one for yourself or get someone else involved. That's a very, very unique situation. There ain't nobody else on the Lakers other than AD and LeBron that's going to be handling the ball late in ball games. But Lou will take big shots in late in ball games. Regardless if Kawhi and Paul George are on the floor.
I told you from the start, I don't consider Kawhi a great closer. I definitely don't consider Paul George a great closer. That guy can close.
Yeah.
When he's all in.
Right.
Psychologically, emotionally. And now it just feels wrong to me. Where there's no will, there's no way. Right.
To
take the old expression.
It's a bad look. Although, he's hungry. I mean, and people go say, well, hold on, that's the only place that was open. Probably at the time of night, Lou was wanting to get something to eat. That might have been one of the few places that was open.
They said the viewing was at 6, so it was probably 8-ish maybe when they went.
I ain't up there. You don't want to go that early, Skip. You don't end up by yourself. You want to try to go around.
No entertainers at 8.
Nah. I mean, they're few, but them not the ones you.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
You need to be hitting about 11.
So I say again. 12. Congratulations to your man, LeBron James. It's over. No more Clipper threat.
But I don't care what anybody say. That fool slapping. Jenny!
Don't bring me into this. Do not bring me into this discussion. We are moving on. No mercy. The Cowboys report for training camp tomorrow, but it's news about Dak's future in Dallas that's grabbing the headlines. When asked if Dak wanted to stay in Dallas long-term, one former anonymous Cowboys coach said, quote, at this point, no, I don't think so. So, Shannon, do you agree that Dak doesn't want to be in Dallas long-term?
Skip, I don't think that's the case at all. I really don't think it's a situation where Dak does not want to be in Dallas. But I think he wants the Cowboys to compensate him fairly. He's disappointed, Skip, because he's watched for the 4 years he's been there since 2016. He's watched guy after guy after guy get paid. And not one time did Jerry or Stephen Jones tell them, I need you to take a haircut so we can pay the next guy. And when it came that time for Dak to get his money, the first thing out of their mouths before they even started negotiating was Dak need to work with the team. Dak needs to realize that he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. He plays quarterback in Dallas and the other opportunities off the field. They never mentioned any of that with any other player before Dak. And so Dak is like, hold on, wait a minute. Why now is it all of a sudden of grave importance that I give you a haircut when you never ask any of those other guys to give you a discount? So because, you didn't say Jalen, Dak, or Zeke, I need you guys to give me a haircut because you know we got our quarterback and you know it's going to cost us a lot of money to get the quarterback side. They didn't do that. Skip, Dak might have been willing to work with them had they gone to Dak like the Eagles went to Wentz. Like the Rams went to Jared Goff. Like my homeboy team came to him. 2 years left on the deal. Okay, let's get something done. You let the guy play the deal completely out. Run the risk of having knock on wood, Skip, nothing happened. But having an Alex Smith, glad to see he got cleared. He can come back and play. But God forbid he has that type of injury, Skip. So you want him to give you a discount? I think that's what's the price is. Skip, they could have got Dak Prescott. They wanted Dak Prescott for somewhere between 34 and 35. You know that price is never going to happen again, don't you? You know that. Because when did you say Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys? 1989? Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys. Let's say he played, and the stories fluctuate, between 120 and 140 million. Do you believe Jerry Jones could have bought that team in 1990 or 1991? For $120 to $140 million. The lowest he was ever going to buy that team is when he bought them. The lowest he was ever going to get Dak Prescott at 34, 35 million was last year. And when that didn't happen, the price is going to continue to go up. So if you think you thought you was going to get him at 34 million, it's only going to go up, Skip. And what hurts them is that, let's just say, we could talk about this a little later, the cap. Now, the cap gets to stay at 198 this year. According to how the revenue goes, it can't go below 175. If Dak's on the books next year for $37 million, you talking about you didn't want him to be more than 14%. That's 21% of your cap. So now what are you doing? And that's what you always try to do, Skip. You try to identify your quarterback, got him on a young, easy contract, build around him, let's go for it. We saw what Seattle did. You see what, now Mahomes gave him a discount so they can go get keep Frank Clark and sign a few other guys. Keep a lot of their core guys, Skip.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones. Chris Jones. Dak is not going to do that, Skip. Because he's like, Jerry, Steven, y'all, you don't believe in me. You say all these things publicly, but privately, the conversations that I've had with my agent leads us to believe that you're not sure of what I'm capable of doing. And since you feel that way, and since I'm having to go out and prove myself again, I'm going to get every last nickel that you can possibly pay me.
So I hear everything you just said. I hear about this report from Dallas. None of this is any surprise to me, unfortunately. I told you the last day we were on this show, the day after the deadline came and the deadline went without a deal, I told you it was the beginning of the end of Dak in Dallas. And I still believe that, unfortunately, with all my heart and soul.
Oh, his side or their sides, or both?
A little of both, but especially on Dak's side. And we both agreed, once his brother immediately tweeted, I never was much of a Cowboy fan, and I'm going to find it really hard to root for the Dallas Cowboys next year.
Even though my brother's on the team.
Even though he's the face of the franchise. Once I read that, you know and I know where that came from. It came from the emotions of his younger brother, Dak. That was tad about Dak. And he knew there was some bad blood that had just spilled all over the floor. And we read the Yahoo report that Jerry Jones never quite got over getting the rug jerked out from underneath him after the first game by the fairly new, that's Todd France, the fairly new agent of Dak Prescott. And again, just to summarize it, Dak bet on himself going into the season. Jerry said after game one, big performance by Dak against, albeit the Giants, Jerry Jones said, our deal is imminent. It will be done in days. All we need to do is cross some T's and dot some I's because we have agreed on the key point. The money has been agreed upon. We have a sort of a verbal handshake deal on the money. And all of a sudden, Jerry was surprised. No, we don't. Our price just went up. And then after the game at Washington, it went up a little bit more. And after the game against Miami at home, it went up a whole lot more. And Jerry said, okay, I'm out. You have done me dirty. I don't play this way. When it comes to negotiating, a man's word is his bond. And you broke your bond. And here we go. So you bet on yourself for 3 games. We'll keep betting on yourself. And over the last 13 games, Dak wasn't great. Even as big a fan as I am, and I still believe in him as a football player, I just got to tell you, I had time. We were off for a week. This sank in for me. It settled in the back of my brain. I'm just disappointed in my man, Dak Prescott. I don't like the way he played this. I still believe Jerry made him a very fair offer. I'm told it was $36 million, but 34, 35, 36. $36 million with 80 of it guaranteed at signing. That's a lot.
That is.
And I thought it was a fair deal. I won't go great. I won't go.
It was respectable. People said disrespect, but it was a very respectable offer.
It was a respectable offer to a young man who's been very good, but he hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. I rank him 9th or 10th, so I got him at the bottom of the top 10, which is still very, very good. And I think you would agree somewhere 10 to 15, somewhere in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, but he's not that guy who just got that big deal. But the harder we look at the Mahomes deal, it looks very Brady-esque. It's actually team-friendly. Now, the annuals are up. They're $45 million. And I believe Dak was shooting for somewhere close to that, 42, 43 million a year. And Jerry just said, no, that's too rich for even my blood. And by the way, forced now to accept the tag, I want to remind everybody, Dak Prescott now makes, starting tomorrow, I guess, as they go to camp, he now makes $10.5 million more than any other overpaid Cowboy. Anybody, DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper, name them, $10.5 million more go to the quarterback because he makes $31.4 million under the tag.
Right.
That's about 16% of the total cap.
Right.
That's pretty high.
Right.
But to your point, if you tag him again and it goes to 38-ish million,
right.
Now it's up to 22% of the cap.
Yeah.
And that's just too much.
Right.
And so Jerry's saying, I don't know what to do with this because I got backed into a corner. There is bad blood. There's injured pride going on here. And Jerry's saying, well, when I tag him, the 31.4 for this year, I can't do any funny business with it. It just is what it is.
Because you can't prorate it. It's 1 year. It's all 31.4. 2020.
You can't sort of leak part of it through a loophole over here, a loophole. It's just boom. You're done.
It's all there.
And you're stuck with it. And I don't think Jerry loves doing business this way, but he got backed into a corner, and I think his pride got rubbed raw.
Yeah.
And it's a sad situation for a quarterback I still love. It feels like a fractured fairy tale to me.
Skip, most of the people that I know that's in front office, be it Ozzie Newsome, John Elway, Mike Shanahan, a lot of the great, say by the third year, you should know what you have in a guy. If you don't know what you got in the third year, move on. If you didn't know what you got in Dak Prescott by the third year.
But given the offer that was on the table, I think Jerry said, we have a very good quarterback.
Yes.
We don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
We don't have Tom Brady. We don't have Drew Brees, but we got one we can win with.
I think the thing is, when you look at Mahomes' deal, Skip, although it's not a lot of money in the first 3 years of the deal, over the life of the contract, $45 million, it's going to be a while before someone makes $45 annually per season. Okay. And I think he says, okay, I'm willing to work with you over the first couple of years to make sure we can keep this thing together. Because like you said, Skip, you know, Travis Kelce's going to want a new deal. There's going to be a lot of guys that's wanting new deals. And I don't want... Because theoretically, Skip, Kansas City, if Pat Mahomes said, look, guys, this is what I want. I want $120 million. When I sign my name, I want $120 million. And I want to make $45 million over the next 8, 9, 10 years. I mean, what are they going to say?
But they got flexibility around all those years. You can play with it. You can do things. You can renegotiate it.
Even if you do that, Skip, you said, okay, if we give him $120 million, we can prorate that over 12 years. That's still only $10 million. So even if we pay him $15 million base, we still well with under the cap.
We're good.
We good.
So what did Tom Brady do for all those 20 years? He took under market value to allow Belichick to maximize his supporting cast and maximize the defense. Right. And I thought Dak, I've called him Brady-esque, and I thought he would operate under the same sort of mindset. And somehow it went completely south. And then the new plot twist that I read in this article we're referring to, that Dak is still upset that Jerry fired Jason Garrett. I did not know. I knew he liked Jason Garrett, but now you're actually holding a grudge against Jerry for that?
Because I believe in the beginning, Jerry wanted to go back to Tony Romo. It was Jason Garrett that was fighting for Dak Prescott after with the success that they had early. Remember, Skip, the reports were Jerry really, really, really likes Tony. That's his guy. He was box office. And Jason, is reported that Jason Garrett and Steven says you can't do this. You know, Dad, we can't. I mean,
well, this will not exactly be music to the ears of one Mike McCarthy, who starts tomorrow officially as the new Cowboy coach, because he's got to think, well, my franchise quarterback was all in on the guy who got fired, right?
And that normally, well, Skip, you got to win him over. That normally happens, Skip. That normally, especially. But see, the differences between Dak and Tom Brady, Skip, is that Tom Brady saw everybody give haircuts. It wasn't like,
no, that's true.
It wasn't like, okay, this guy right here, well, he got all this, and Tom is looking like, well, hold on. You say I need to take a haircut so we can pay all these other guys. But everybody, with the exception of Stephon Gilmore, had given a haircut. So Dak is like, man, D-Law got a head full of hair. Look at Amari. Look at Zeke. And you want to give me a haircut. I can't. And so it rubbed Dak the wrong way, Skip. There's going to be a lot of healing going to have to take place.
Okay, but I still don't love the fact that Dak is clinging to a coach who was there for 9 years and missed the playoffs 6 times in 9 years. And Dak still believes in Jason Garrett. I know because Jason believed in him.
There you go.
Okay, but they had 2 really good years together. Remember 13-3 and 10-6?
Right.
And they had 2 not so good years together. That was Jason's epitaph in Dallas. 8-8. Up, down, up, down, up, down, 8-8.
But what if a lot of what was going on is that Dak realized that's not Jason Garrett. That's the guy upstairs.
Okay. Well, if your heart's not in it, then you should go somewhere else.
Well, he tried to.
And we should look for somebody else.
We tried to.
Yeah.
We tried to go ahead and do it because you didn't want to do right. All you had to do was just let us be free, and then we can show you what the market is.
Well, all I can say, bottom line, there's only one way Dak Prescott now is going to retire a Dallas Cowboy, and that is in one of the next 2 years, he has to lift this team into a Super Bowl. If he does that, I believe he will get the long-term deal up in the Mahomes range somewhere. I believe he would get that, but he's going to have to do that. And obviously the odds are not with that.
But see, Skip, remember what happened? Remember Joe Flacco? For $2 million, you could have had Joe Flacco at a nice little contract, and you roll the dice. And he messed around and went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl MVP.
He did.
And for the next 3 years, he was the highest paid player in the NFL. And that's what Jerry Jones is about to be up against. Now, he let Dak Prescott get to the Super Bowl, Skip.
Okay, but Jerry, it's been so long, since 1995, since Jerry was in a Super Bowl, the 95 season.
Right.
I believe if Dak got him to, just got him into the game, that he would give him his deal. Okay. That's what I think.
All right, let's move on to some players on the move around the league. Safety Jamal Adams said he's now a, quote, man on a mission after being traded from the Jets to the Seahawks. Seattle sent 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and safety Bradley McDougald in exchange for Adams and a third-round pick. So, Shannon, was this a good deal or a bad deal for Seattle?
Skip, I've gone back and forth with this. And when I look at it, looking at it from Seattle's perspective, I know Jamal Adams is going to get traded. There's no way he can go back in that locker room having said what he said in that interview about the head coach. So I know he's got to leave. Why would I give up 2 first rounders, Skip? I believe they could have had Jamal Adams for a first and a third. Now, maybe Seattle's looking at it over the last course of last 3 or 4 years. They haven't drafted well later in the rounds. And they're saying, you know what? We feel that where we're going to be drafting, high 20s, hopefully maybe even the 30s, the guy that we could possibly get is not going to be that guy. You're talking about a guy that's an all-pro, a 2-time Pro Bowl. He can play a lot of different positions. He can do a lot of different things. But 2 first rounders and a third, Skip, that's what the hell they gave up to get Khalil Mack. Chicago gave up that to get Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack was the player of the year. That's a whole lot to give up for a safety, Skip. Now, I'm not saying that, and people are like, well, he's not Ed Reed. Look. He doesn't have to be Ed Reed. You're talking about the top. You're talking about the top of the top when you talk about Reed. But I believe he's a game-changing safety, Skip. He plays a lot of different positions. And is Seattle going to use him like the Jets used him? Because, Skip, if you just say, okay, we want you to play safety, you're going to play strong or you're going to play the free. But Greg Williams lined him up at linebacker. He put him over the slot. He blitzed him a lot. He put him in coverage. So he played a lot of different positions. In order for you to get the bang for your buck, Seattle's going to have to use him like the Jets used him. Or else you wasted 2 first-round picks. Now, he says he's on a mission. I believe in order for Seattle to do this deal, Skip, they had to feel they can get this man to sign. Because you'd be foolish to give up 2 firsts and a third and not sign him. So he knows he's going to be the highest-paid safety after this season. I believe where the Jets made the mistake, Skip, this is how it works with athletes, and I'm talking about having played in the National Football League, Skip. You're my general manager. I come to you and I say, Skip, I think I performed this contract. I've done everything you asked me to do. I've been an all-pro. I've been Pro Bowl player, and I'm the leader. I'm the captain. I'm the leader of the team, one of the leaders of the team. We're going to get it done. Skip, if you tell me we're going to get it done, I'm expecting you to get it done. Now, I come back to you, here we are 9 months later, Skip, and you like, we're not going to be able to do anything. Well, see, we got a problem. Because you lied to me, Skip. You told me, if you'd have told me I'm not going to be able to do anything, I'm going to be upset, but at least you were honest with me. You were upfront, say, Shannon, we're not going to be able to get it done. But if you tell a player that you're going to get that contract done, and he comes to you and says, "What's up?" and he don't get it done, Skip, it's over.
Over.
So they had no, at this juncture, the Jets had no choice but to move Jamal Adams. But Seattle paid a steep price for a safety. 2 1s and a 3. Skip, that's steep.
Seattle dangerously overpaid for Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams has proven to me over 3 years to be more trouble than he will ever be worth. And again, he's known to make constant waves on social media and cause nothing but trouble in his own locker room. And did you see what he already tweeted earlier today? He already tweeted how upset he was that Seattle put him on a 7 a.m. flight this morning, and then he deleted the tweet. But he was complaining about, how could you put me on a 7 a.m., make me get up that early for that kind of flight?
Well, I mean, what do you think? Seattle lives right around the corner?
It's not around the corner. It's about as far as you can get.
Yes, and if you're in New York, Skip, that's 6 hours.
And they need him to have a media session there. They want him to meet everybody and get situated and get rolling into their training camp, which I'm sure opens in the next day or two.
Right.
So the point is, he's already up to his old tricks on social media. He lives on social media, which is not always a bad thing unless it reinforces your negative behavior, where you have a lot of people following you who say, stay after him.
That's what I'm talking about, Jamal. You're right.
Go get him. Okay. All I can say is, this sums up my feelings about Jamal Adams. I can't tell you how thankful I am, how relieved I am that he is not now a Dallas Cowboy, especially for 2 1s and a 3.
No.
Stop it. And remember, Jamal grew up in the Dallas area. It's Louisville and Carrollton that he went to high school in Carrollton, but he's in the Dallas area, grew up a big Cowboy fan. Made it very abundantly clear on social media, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy, and now he is a Seattle Seahawk. Right. And I say, God bless you, Seattle. Pete Carroll has a reputation. He's very prideful about, I've always been able to coach difficult to coach players, especially when they're talented. Right. And they think they have a Cam Chancellor who has a little more coverage range probably than Cam had. Agree. Yeah. So you've got a special football player who was not able to lift the Jets out of mediocrity or below mediocrity, obviously, because his 3 records, 5-11, 4-12, and 7-9. Now, again, that's not all his fault because it's not a very good football team. Correct. But what I'm saying is, don't tell me he's a leader of a football team. Don't tell me he's transcendent, a difference maker. Right. He's not that kind of player. Right. Like Ed Reed was that kind of player from that position. I believe Earl Thomas was that kind of player. But Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, back in the storied days of Legion of Boom, they were more we players than me players. To me, both of them were. As talented as they both were, even Richard at that point, Richard Sherman, he could be a me guy, but they were a we. They were a group. I think they bought into that. I'm not sure Jamal will ever buy into a we type situation. He is a me player. He's a solo act. He's a gifted solo act. He was the 6th overall pick out of LSU, but it sort of sums up his career. Look what happened after him in the draft. Just can I put him in perspective? Who went 8th? A guy you watched grow up in your locker room, right? Yep. Little McCaffrey. Okay. So he went 8th, and then guess who went 10th? My homeboy. And guess who went 12th? Deshaun. And for what it's worth, guess who went 30th in that draft? A kid named TJ Watt, who just gets a little better, and his motor runs so hot. I can make a case that over the long term, TJ Watt will have more impact in this league than Jamal will. So the point is, I'm not saying he's a loser, but some of his intangibles are what I describe as losers' intangibles. Right. So I don't love this unless Pete can say, watch what I do. Now, John Schneider has plunged many times. He went after Percy Harvin and then Jimmy Graham. And remember Sheldon Richardson, and it's been one guy after another where he said on Jadeveon, they said we're gonna take the plunge here. Right. Now they haven't replunged with Jadeveon.
Well, Skip, I think the thing is that Seattle reminds me of Baltimore. I think that especially when you go to the defensive side of the football, you buy in. Because you had guys that laid the framework. You had a Ray Lewis. You had an Ed Reed, a Suggs. So everybody that came in after that, you still have Bobby Wagner. You still have KJ Wright. You still have the core pieces, a few of those core pieces that was a part of the Legion of Boom, that when they went to the Super Bowl, when they were dominant, those guys are still there. There's no question. Bobby Wagner is the best player on that defense. He's an all-decade player, a Pro Bowl, perennial All-Pro, year in and year out. So he is the de facto boss of that defense. Now, if Jamal can get their buy-in, like, look, it ain't no more me, it's we. It's about us. See, you got all those stats, and, he quick to list this stat. He and J.J. Watt are the only guys that got 20 sacks and this many interceptions, this many forced fumbles. What the hell you want? Oh, that's finally good. Okay, I get the stats are good. Okay, where the Lombardies that go along with that? So at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do in Seattle. Because once you've tasted that success, and maybe once Jamal get to the playoffs and win and sees what it's like, stats are good, but it's all about team because you play a team sport.
You do.
And so for me, Skip, and you look at DeAndre Hopkins, went for a second rounder. I give you can have Jamal Adams, you get D-Hop. I'm taking D-Hop.
Likewise.
Darius Slay went for a third and a fifth.
He did.
Stephon Diggs went for a 1, 4, 5, and a 6. I mean, but I just think Seattle, their average pick over the last 5 drafts is 23rd, and they haven't been that good.
Well, they better be real good in the next couple of years so they devalue those draft picks.
So they stay in the 20s. Because you best rather have a losing season. All of a sudden, that's a team or a top 10 pick. Not going to be. But I don't see that happen. Russ is too, Skip. Russ has gotten better and better and better every single year. And so I believe they'll be, and I think that's what you're counting on, Skip. They said, we're going to be good, and we're going to be able to continue to draft late in the draft. And so there's no one that we're going to find down there that's going to be that guy. But we'll see. We'll see over the next couple of years. But the Jets, if you think about, Skip, what they've drafted over the last 6-7 years, those guys aren't on the team.
No.
You can't build a championship team. Your best players somehow keep leaving. So there's something going on. They need to do a thorough investigation of how they're doing business because none of their top draft picks, Skip, somehow finish their careers or even get 4 or 5 years with the team.
And I'm still not sold on Sam Darnold because I wasn't before the draft. And he better be right or they're going to be really wrong.
Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been favored most of the season to win back-to-back MVPs. LeBron has made his case for the award. The King said, quote, as far as the MVP race, I showed what I'm capable of doing, not only individually, but from a team perspective, us being #1 in the West. LeBron also said that he silenced a lot of critics who had questioned how he would perform if he ever left the East to the Western Conference. So, Shannon, your opinion, does he have a point considering East versus West?
He does. And for the longest time, it was the least. If I'm not mistaken, I know a guy that's sitting across from me. He dubbed it the Leastern Conference. Don't cough. Don't cough. It was you. Oh, it's the Leastern. It's the Leastern Conference. And everybody even said it when LeBron was doing what he's doing. If Kobe was in the East, Kobe would have went to 8 straight. If Shaq was in the East at the time, Shaq would go to 8 straight. Everybody, if anybody that was decent, a great player that was in the Western Conference at the time LeBron was doing what he was doing, had they been in the East, they would have replicated. They would have done the exact same thing that LeBron's doing. Now, he would never be the #1 seed in the Western Conference. Skip, if you don't mind me asking, who's the #1 seed in the Western Conference?
Now should be the Clippers.
I know who it should be. See, well, if you stop going to late night establishments, you might have could have been.
Maybe.
So, ain't no telling. That might be one of the reasons why you're not in first place to begin with.
Good point.
Skip, you and I both know Kawhi Leonard got more credit for winning 1 title in the East than LeBron got for winning 3 and going to 8 straight. Because he beat a banged-up Warriors team that had gone to 5 straight. The best player, you said the best player in the NBA, got hurt. Klay Thompson got hurt. Now, had LeBron won a title off Golden State, when KD is injured, plays like 2 minutes of a ball game, and Klay Thompson get injured. Skip, that's an asterisk. That's an asterisk. That's an asterisk. Oh, no, we can't have that. Because we know at full strength the Warriors would have won. Every excuse that they do to diminish what LeBron has done, they hype Giannis up. Oh, look what he's doing. Huh? What he doing? When he gonna come out the East? When? Because that's what you do, Skip, man. That's what you and a lot of others have done. You have minimized the work that LeBron done for years in the East. 8 straight finals. He won 3. Oh, but if he was in the West, he couldn't do that. He goes to the West. He's 26, 10, and 8. But look at Giannis. Oh, look at Giannis, the PR. He's the PR darling. It's the East, though, right? It's the Eastern Conference. So what changed? I mean, so when did it become the West? Does the Clippers play? Does the Rockets play? Does the Nuggets play in the East? No. So, Skip, you know absolutely LeBron should win this award. But they won't give it to him. Oh, look at Giannis. He's 29, 14, and 6. In the West or the East? Okay.
Okay. I want to hark back to the end of what was the regular season back in March, and I told you LeBron was on a remarkable, astonishing tear. And I told you I thought just on narrative he had edged ahead in MVP. I gave him that because he's having a phenomenal 35-year-old season. And to my point, I was a little surprised that once LeBron got to the bubble, he let his bubble beard go gray.
Yeah.
There's always method to all the madness. It's all premeditated. What is the message of the gray? I think he's trying to remind...
Old man doing this, y'all.
The old man is doing his thing, right? The old man is having the greatest 35-year-old season ever, and he wants everybody to be reminded, look how gray I am. I got a big old bushy bubble beard, and it's as gray as can be. It's like thick gray on both sides. I'm the old man who's having the best year, maybe my best year ever. Okay. I give you all of the above. But now let's look at the West. Is it still the best? Is it still the West? Or has the West become the least? Here we go. Here we go. Because is Golden State still Golden State? Wait, is Steph there? No, well, he's just now coming back, but he's been gone all year. No, Clay's still gone. Wait, Draymond, he's played a few games, but only a few. And what about the best player on the planet? Is he still a Golden State Warrior? No, he's still rehabbing his Achilles as now a Brooklyn Net. He's not there. They're gone. Guess who the worst team in the West is? Golden State is the worst team in basketball. Who'd have thunk it?
Skip, there's no surprise that Klay Thompson had played all year, and Steph missed 30 games.
I'm trying to explain to you why the West is the least. How about the Clippers? Only 12 times all regular season have they had their full roster intact. When they did, they've won 11 out of 12 games. I will give you the Lakers beat them in the third game between the two teams with the Clippers at full strength. But the problem is it's full new strength. They have not had reps together. They needed reps, which is why this is tearing me apart, that they are tearing themselves apart inside the bubble. The Clippers are not the Clippers that they could be. They have not come close to realizing or maximizing their potential. It's now just on paper potential that looks like it's wasting away inside the bubble. How about my Spurs? I hate to admit this publicly, but they are ancient history. Is Timmy there? Well, he's on the bench, and he looks like he's the #1 assistant, but he can't play anymore. And there's no Manu, and there's no Tony, and obviously and unfortunately, there is no Kawhi Leonard. So what does that leave us? Utah? Utah's underachieved all year. Mike Conley won the horse contest, but he ain't winning anything on the court because he has been a big disappointment so far for the Utah Jazz as their key acquisition. Has Denver been Denver? I don't know why, but they look like just another team right now. Even though they're kind of hanging in the standings, they don't look as strong as they were last year. They have not gelled or clicked. Zion is barely getting his feet wet as an NBA baby. So I can't factor New Orleans into the mix yet. And how about Portland? They lose Nurkic. They lose Zach Collins. They have to go get Melo out of retirement, basically, because he's going to be a starter for them now. So my point is, show me the West is the best. Show me. I'm not sure it's better than the East right now.
Skip, if you don't mind me asking, other than Giannis, tell me the player in the East, other than Giannis, that's better than Paul George, better than Kawhi, better than Harden, better than Dame, better than AD. and better than LeBron. I need a player that's comparable in the Eastern Conference that's close to those guys.
Two of them are on one team, Embiid and Ben Simmons. And two of them are on another team and not playing. Obviously, the best player on the planet, Kevin Durant, and his running mate, Kyrie.
Well, I just saw ESPN do a stat as the top 5 players, and Embiid wasn't one of the top 5.
Well,
the Lakers had.
To me. You asked me, and I'm giving you my opinion.
The Lakers had 2, and the Clippers had 2 of the top 6. And then it was James Harden. So I'm trying to figure where they got from Giannis. And Giannis wasn't number 1. Guess who was number 1, Skip? Oh, go James.
And Boston has a couple of kids, and they're still kids to me, who are coming of age.
They're coming, but they ain't here yet.
Okay, they're not here. I agree.
Skip.
Jimmy Butler has come of age, and he is making Miami into a factor in the East.
Skip.
All of a sudden, I'm looking at the East, it's kind of like 50-50 with the West.
Is Jimmy Butler better than AD? He better than Dame?
No.
He better than Bron, Harden,
I'm
Kawhi?
glad you brought up AD, because here's the point LeBron is missing. What happened last year with no AD in L.A.? Well, LeBron played, 55 games?
55 games.
And he went 28 and 27.
Right.
And guess what he left? What memories did he leave us? He left us the blooper reel. That was last year. His first time in the West, he missed the playoffs.
Was he hurt?
Wait, can we see
no, we don't need to
I
see
got to
that.
see it. I got to remind everybody, this is how bad it was his first year in the West when Golden State... Wait, he just threw it off the backboard. What are you doing, LeBron? LeBron, get out and play defense. Kuzma pushed him to guard the three-point shooter. What are you doing, LeBron? You got to pick up the basketball. I know you're letting you don't want the clock to start, but you got to pick the ball up, LeBron. And he kicked it out of bounds. This was last year. This was in the West. He was looking like he was in the Eastern Conference. LeBron, you got your shot blocked for the game winner by Mario Hezonja, who's now a Portland Trailblazer. That's pathetic. I'm sorry. That's the legacy of his first year in L.A.
Okay, but Skip, this is a new year.
Okay, it's a new year. But what happened? What changed life in L.A.? He didn't just get a co-star. He got someone who is rivaling him for MVP, who belongs, I feel sorry for Anthony Davis. He is getting overlooked. He is having an MVP style of a season.
Absolutely.
Because I look at these numbers. He's outscoring LeBron. It's not much, but it's 26.7 to 25.7.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1 point. How about rebounds? 9.4 to 7.9. He's still above.
Yeah.
How about blocks? 2.4 to 0.5. Obviously, he blocks a bunch of shots. In fact, he just might be the defensive player of the year. Am I right?
Skip,
wait a second. I haven't finished. He's out shooting LeBron from the floor, which is hard to do. It's 51% to 50%. And AD takes more distance shots than LeBron does. And yes, LeBron is leading the league in assists at age 35. Way to go, LeBron. God bless. But the other guy is leading your team in free throw percentage. He's making 85% of his free throws, and he is a high volume, get to the line free throw shooter. I got to tell you, I'm looking at an MVP season, and he's your partner. So don't tell me it's not a lot easier this year in the West than it was last year in the West.
No, Skip, here's the thing about Anthony Davis. AD is playing phenomenal, and this is why he wanted to get out of New Orleans. He wanted to go play with someone else that was phenomenal. But the reason why you're mentioning AD as MVP is why? He's winning. AD put up bigger numbers in New Orleans, but he wasn't winning anything. Now you come win, and now people look at you as an MVP candidate because you with us.
Does any star in the league, in the West or the East, have a better co-star than LeBron James? No. It's not even close. Nobody does. So, way to go, LeBron. Big bounce back. Maybe he should be the comeback player of the year.
Does anybody in the league have a bigger star than the Lakers? Oh, no. He's the biggest star. He shines the brightest.
Well, why aren't we talking about LeBron as comeback player? All you need to do is look at the video I just showed, the blooper reel.
How you come back from 25, 8, and 8?
Well,
there's only been a handful of those seasons.
You can come back from 28 and 27 in a blooper reel.
25,
Do you want to see it again? No, I don't want to see it.
You know that? I mean, Jordan only had one of those.
It's not
Jordan
fair.
only had one of those.
Yeah.
And we did that at 34. Jordan did his at like 26, 27. We doing stuff at 35 that's never been heard of.
Jordan was first team all defense and led the league in scoring at age 34, his final year in Chicago.
We got more first. Skip, we're about to have more first team all NBA than Jordan played in the league. Should take that out.
Yeah, but you've played 34 years.
And we about to have 32 first team all NBA.
I'm just so glad we got that blooper reel in. It just
you always try to.
I love that blooper reel.
And it been too long. It's just quality.
Yeah. We got some for you though.
No mercy.
According to a memo sent from the NFL Players Association to agents over the weekend, players who contract the coronavirus through high-risk activities that are not team-related can face discipline or even not be paid. The memo listed several examples that mostly included indoor activities with more than 15 people present. So, Shannon, do you like players being held accountable when they're away from the team here?
Skip, these are abnormal times, so you have to take abnormal precautions to make sure. Skip, a lot of this is like normal contract language. Like in a lot of these contracts you can't ski. You can't play pickup basketball. You can't do a lot of things, so you work that in there because the team wants to protect their investment. Skip, there's no doubt in my mind the NFL and these teams are going to do everything they possibly can to make sure the players are safe while they're at work. As safe as they possibly can. The players are going to have to fulfill their obligation traveling to and from. Because I believe while they're under they will be protected heavily while they're at work. What happens once you leave work? What are you going to do? Because like you said, Skip, Fox is doing everything they possibly can to make sure we're protected here. 50,000 pure rail stations, Skip.
There are. And I use every one of
You
them.
do. Yep. You do. In all seriousness, Skip, there's like 5 from the front door until our dressing room. There's like 5 pure rail stations. But at the end of the day, what is Shannon, what is Skip, what is Jenny doing once they leave the premises? Are they looking out for one another? And that's what they're going to be asking the players to do. You're going to have to minimize. You understand now, look, this is different. So you can't say, man, I should be allowed to do it. Yes, under normal circumstances, you should be allowed to go to a concert. You should be allowed to go to a nightclub. You should be now allowed to do things where there are heavy gatherings. But this is not a normal situation. So you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice. And like these teams are not going to do anything to mess up their money, so they're going to try to do every precaution necessary. Don't you do anything to mess up your money by going out and putting yourself in harm's way. Just like you shouldn't ski. Don't go, man, I want to go to ski. I want to go up to Aspen or Breckenridge, and I want to ski. Well, if you do that and you know that's in your contract, don't be mad when the people come look for their money. So if you go engage in activity that's properly laid out and you catch this virus, if they come and try to recoup some of your money, don't be upset. Just go ahead and say, okay, I was wrong, and just turn it back over. Skip, I get it. It's asking an awful lot, but I think we're asking an awful lot. And the teams are asking an awful lot. They're doing an awful lot. Skip, and they say you can opt out if you have these extenuating circumstances. If someone is in your house at high risk, you have to get the player. Skip, so the NFL is doing a lot. The players are going to have to fulfill their obligation on this one too, Skip.
So I read the first line of the story. NFL players who contract the coronavirus through quote-unquote high-risk activity away from team facilities can face team discipline, might even at the risk of being fined, lose their paycheck. Okay, number one, there is no way, absolutely no way on this earth right now to prove how you contracted the coronavirus. It could be because you went to that party and nobody was wearing a mask, or it could be because you just happened to touch a doorknob and touch your face, right? So there's no way to hold a player accountable for that. I just think this was a fear of God message they're trying to send to the players. You can't do this, and they're all, they're gathering activities. 15 or more people, even at a religious service. 15 or more, no, you can't do it. Because it's too risky for the sake of your teammates. So, to your point, for a lot of NFL players, let's get to this first. We see what just happened to MLB's Miami Marlins, right? They now have what is classified as an outbreak within their ranks. What's it up to now?
14.
Like 14 players and coaches. Okay, and it seems like it's rising by the report. It's just going up and up. Okay, so the odds are that there was one player who broke the rules. One player said, I'm not going to let this change how I live my life.
Right.
I'm going to go to the club on Saturday night or wherever you might go that's going to be a gathering. And I know you're supposed to wear a mask, but come on, a man has to have some fun in his life. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Right.
I'm going to go eat with my friends, and I'm not going to, because it's pretty hard to wear a mask while you're eating, right?
Right.
So somebody broke the rules and said, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it.
Correct.
Well, to the point you want to risk killing somebody else? Because
Exactly.
here's what's going to happen. The fallout from this is it could wreck the Marlins, could ruin the rest of their season.
Could wreck baseball.
Could wreck baseball. And if any of the other infected players have been around their elderly relatives, their grandmother or their grandfather, and they have predetermined conditions, or obviously pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, but you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Marlins. Now, but guess what? It had a ripple effect. The Yankees have had to cancel because they were going to be in the same dugout as the Marlins that just played the Phillies. So now that is canceled. You see the ripple effect that this could possibly have? Imagine if you get a team, Skip, and they played a team the week before, and 14 players and coaches test positive.
Okay, so the NBA has a chance because they have a little shorter season left and they can confine themselves to what is called a bubble in Orlando. And a few players don't want to play by the rules, and if you don't, you get fined days. You have to obviously be quarantined a number of days. We've talked about Lou Williams. We're going to talk about him again in just a minute here on the show. But he violated a bond with his teammates and with the league. He went to Atlanta. And he went to a restaurant. We'll call it a restaurant for now. We'll get into that in just a minute. But the point is, you can't do that. So here we go. Camps are opening around your league, the National Football League. And I want to make one point that the NFL has a huge advantage over basketball and baseball and soccer and anything else you want to throw in there. Golf, for that matter. The NFL has a built-in ability to wear a shield. Now, it's an accessory to the helmet that you obviously must wear to play football. And some players, probably including you, would not love wearing a shield over your face.
Well, Skip, I had to wear one year. I fractured my eye socket.
And you did not love it.
I did not love it.
Because it's harder to breathe.
Because I'm in a down stance. Sweat's dripping down. It's bogging up. And so it's getting, I'm having to have a towel and constantly wipe it. But you get used to it. And I guess they're going to try to have the shield that comes all the way down.
Well, at least you got a chance. You got a better chance to stop flying spittle, any kind of droplets that get airborne. They're going to hit your mask. They're going to hit your shield. And they're not going to go in your eyes or up your nose or in your mouth, Robbie. Okay, so at least you got a shot in football. A lot of linemen already wear the shield.
They do.
Okay, so it's going to be no problem for them. And I get it that they're concerned, but I think on the field won't be as big a problem as off the field. Because everybody's going to say, well, we're really careful. I love what Patrick Mahomes said about their facility. It's airtight. We're proud of what we're doing here at Fox, as you point out. And I'm sure the Chiefs facility feels the same way. It feels airtight. But to your point, at 9 a.m., you're going to be right out the door, and I don't know where you're going to go. And I have to trust you as my teammate that you're going to make good decisions all day. And I do believe you're going to make good decisions because you realize the gravity of what we're up against here, that there are certain rules that are they're not that hard to follow. That, like Dr. Fauci has said again and again, if I could get everybody in this country to wear a mask for 2 straight weeks, I'm talking about everybody to wear a mask everywhere, he said we'd have this thing on the run. We would reverse the trend. Well, okay. Can we? Can when you go places, do you wear a mask? I believe you wear a mask.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Do you know the rules that you got to keep sanitizing your hands, and you, under no circumstances, especially when you're out in public, you cannot touch your face because you're going to probably get. Do you think you've had some COVID on your hands? I'll bet you have.
I mean, you touching doors and you touching things and you grab. I'm sure I've grabbed things that at the grocery store that somebody put back. Somebody, well, I don't want this, and they put it back, and guess what? an hour or two later, I come get it.
Almost certainly you have.
Yes, absolutely.
But are you smart enough that after you do that, you got to use your sanitizer, you got to wash your hands, and you can't go right to your car and put the stuff in your car and touch your face?
Absolutely.
Because if you do, you're in huge jeopardy. All of a sudden, we're living right here in what is a new hotspot in Los Angeles. It feels worse now than it did in the beginning.
It does, Skip. It does. And the thing is, Skip, and here's the thing that the players, what they understand, is that when you go out, somebody's going to take a picture. Somebody go get that picture, Skip. You're like, oh, no, I wasn't there. Well, who is this? And that's what happens. And you're right, Skip. It's hard to prove. Well, you got it from here or you got it from there. But because the NFL is and the teams and the way the contract is written, Skip, they have so much power to say, you know what? We can't prove that you didn't get it from there. So you know what? We just going to go ahead and shut you down, put you on the non-football injury list.
Okay.
We don't have to pay you, and we'll go to arbitration, and we'll fight it out. Well, how you going to do that, Skip? You count on that money. But when they tie that thing up and say the non-football injury list, they got to pay you. And then you got to fight that out in arbitration.
Okay, but do you like the idea of please don't go to a nightclub, 15 or more. Right. Don't go to a bar. Don't go to even a packed restaurant. Yes. Don't go to a concert. Don't go to a religious service where people are too close together, 15 or more people. Yeah. I like it that they're sending the message. Right. If one of you violates this protocol, you could endanger all of us and risk blowing up the whole season.
Absolutely.
Outbreak.
Skip, I look, but I'm a different animal, Skip. Yes, I can do it because I'm a hermit. I've kind of always been by myself, and I like being by myself, so it doesn't bother me. But a lot of people, they got to go. They got to be out, Skip. They just have to be. But I'm not one of those. I wouldn't be willing to put my family, if I had a family that was living with me, I wouldn't be willing to put them at risk, and I wouldn't want to put my teammates at risk. Because a part of being a leader also, Skip, is not so much on the field, it's off the field. It's doing the things necessary to make sure the best interest of all is being taken into consideration. And that's what I would do. So no, hey, bro, I'm sorry. Hey, after the season, and when this thing died out and when Dr. Fauci says it's safe to go out, I think from moving forward, Skip, we're always going to have a mask. I agree. We about to enter, it's about to be like the airport.
Life changed.
Just like Skip after 9/11 and when the guy tried to get on the plane with a shoe bomb, and you got to take your shoes off now, it changed everything about flying.
True.
The way you go into buildings now is about to be forever changed.
Agreed.
And we wear our masks everywhere but right here on TV. We'll wear it until we get to this place. And I can't even, so far from you guys for a reason, but we just want this to get better.
Here we do.
Safe, everyone out there. On Thursday night, Williams will need to quarantine for 10 days after he was spotted at an Atlanta gentlemen's club during an excused absence from the NBA bubble in Orlando. Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley are two other players who have left the bubble for excused absences within the last week, and the Clippers have also been without Zubats and Shamet. So, Skip, how much trouble are the Clippers in?
Shannon Sharpe. I believe the Clippers season, what's left of it, just got wrecked. And it started with Lou Williams, but there are 4 or 5 other Clippers who have missed big parts of the bubble, who are still in quarantine as they're on their way trying to get back with the team. I think 4 or 5 members of the team will not be available for Thursday night's first real game against your Lakers. So it feels like there's a minor mutiny going on here with the Clippers, and I'm sure it is driving Doc Rivers nuts. I'm sure it's tearing his heart out because he can't control what his players are opting not to do right now, and it starts with Lou Williams. Sweet Lou was not so sweet over the weekend. This was the ultimate selfish act of betrayal to me. There's no I in team, but there are 2 I's in Magic City. So he went from the Magic Kingdom in the bubble, Disney World, to Magic City. How could you do that to Kawhi and Paul George and to the rest of your team? There was a reason that Kawhi Leonard played the worst stretch of basketball I've ever seen him play in the first half of their scrimmage on Saturday, just after the news broke. This was against the Washington Wizards. Kawhi Leonard went 3 of 16 from the field. He looked like he'd forgotten how to play basketball. He went 0 for 8 from the three-point line because I'm sure he was torn apart psychologically, emotionally by this act of betrayal by the guy who so often has rescued them as the reigning sixth man of the year and who now has set what's left of their season on fire. Mm-hmm. When I first read that he had gone to his grandfather's funeral, I was okay with that part of it until the latest reports now have it, and I'm sure this is from league sources now, as they sort of researched what was going on. They investigated what happened. Mm-hmm. They say, no, it was actually the father of a close friend of the family.
Right.
Did you have to go? You didn't have to go, but he did go.
Right.
I mentioned earlier, Alex Caruso, a week ago Saturday night, his sister got married down near College Station, Texas.
Right.
Hot spot right now in the state of Texas. And Alex decided, no, I'm not going to risk it because I can't, because the NBA apprised him. If you go down there, you're at least 10 days back. At least, maybe 2 weeks in quarantine, because you cannot risk that.
Right.
Double jeopardy ensued when Lou not only went to the viewing of the body, but he then took a fairly large group to a restaurant that is his favorite restaurant. We get all that. But remember, your teammates are all stuck in their rooms, watching movies, playing video games, hanging around the lobby of the hotel, just hanging out together, where it's all about basketball, but you have to make some sacrifices, especially for a young man with a lot of money and all of a sudden no wife or girlfriend or significant other, and you're stuck in the bubble while Lou's down at Magic City, which doubles as a strip club. Yeah. And he had the audacity to say, well, there were no entertainers present.
Yeah.
What? It must have been around 8-ish when you got there. And I looked on the website last night. I don't ever go to the website. First time I ever went to the website. Nope, never went to the website. And it said, we are open for business from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., 7 days a week. Okay, so you don't think there were entertainers present? I think there were a lot of entertainers present. I'm fine with that. I'm not condemning that, except under the circumstance, while your team is supposed to be sacrificing, you're at Magic City and you have a dish named after you. What is it called? It's the Lou Will Lemon Pepper Barbecue Wings. Good for you. So I buy that this is your favorite restaurant. And I'm sure it's a very, you can attest.
Yeah, they got it. I ain't gonna lie. Jenny is hitting over there.
Okay, I got it. But you can't do this. You can't set this example as a team leader, as the guy who comes off the bench and closes for you. You just open the door to anarchy in the bubble.
But Skip, to lose defense, now he's trying to stimulate the economy. Now, even though there are no in-person classes, they still got online classes. They still got to, got to sign up, got to get tuition and stuff. So we help it.
Yeah. So you got to help. So here's the worst of it. He's with a young white rapper. I don't know how he got in there. I don't know if you understand if Jack Harlow was actually in the viewing party. It sounded like he was, but whatever. He's a friend of Lou's, I guess. Again, he had one big hit, what was it called? What's Poppin'? And Lil Wayne was featured on it. So, okay, I got it. But he decides he wants a selfie with Lou. So he does the 2-for-1 shot. Well, don't you know in this day and age that you're in danger of that being immediately posted?
Yes.
And I'm sure it went up within 5 seconds. It was up on IG.
I mean, why would you, and as Lou Williams is one of the guys that's in the bubble, he's not supposed to be there. You know the kind of negative feedback that's going to come. You potentially put him in a situation, now he's going to have to offer. Now, look, we can blame the guy for taking the picture, but it's Lou's fault. Lou knew he wasn't supposed to be there. Lou went there, and I believe Skip, like I said, I don't know how close the family friend is, and so maybe Lou's known this person for an extended period of time, and maybe he's very close to his father, and he wanted to be in attendance at the viewing. I get that. But when you detoured and left the viewing to go here, therein lies the problem arose.
You could have gone in and out.
Yes.
You could have been there for a half hour, stayed away from the group, and said, I paid my respects. I was present. I got to get back to the bubble.
Correct.
No, you took a group to Magic City just to eat dinner. I got it. But it's out of bounds. It's not how you come together to win a championship. When I read this story on Saturday, I was watching the Lakers scrimmage, and I was astounded that your man, LeBron James, played every bit of the first 3 quarters.
Right.
When he came out after halftime and went right in the game and went all the way to the end of the third quarter against Orlando,
Right.
I'm thinking, King, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You've played the 3rd most minutes in the history of this league. This is dangerous. You're asking for it. And then it hit me. Well, Lou Will's at Magic City. LeBron James is all in Orlando.
I'm not going to be surprised if he plays a little more this last game because he's ratcheting it up. He's trying to get back in as close to game
got one coming up at noon our time, I believe it is, 3 o'clock,
right.
Their final scrimmage.
Because that's the thing.
He might play all 4 quarters.
Because, Skip, he's got to get ready.
Yeah.
He's like, there's 8 games. Basically, it's a sprint. There's no more marathon.
Yeah.
It is a sprint now. We got 8 games, and then guess what? And the games are back to back to back. Skip, ain't no more 2 days off, no 3 days off.
Nope.
It goes boom, 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 and you keep going.
LeBron has a great opportunity to go win his 4th title, and he is maximizing his possibility to pull that off.
Right.
He's going to say, look, they're going to miss Avery Bradley, but they knew going in we're without Avery Bradley. Right. Well, the guys they do have, it feels like when I watch them on the sideline, if they're on the bench, and they're spread out, obviously, but it feels like I'm watching a college bench.
Yes.
They're into it. They're together.
Yes.
They have unified. They've united. They're hanging out together. We're going to talk about Dwight Howard's shenanigans in the locker room after a practice that featured an impression of Shannon Sharpe, but they're having
a good time.
Blast.
Right.
Right?
But, Lou, look, the thing is, Lou, is that, and I think that Skip, the question is, had the arrangement, had the viewing, had the services been in another state, would he have wanted to go? Because this was an ideal situation. It was the perfect storm. Going back to Atlanta.
And it's not that far from Orlando.
Right, it's not that far from Orlando. And Magic City is in the town that I grew up. There are a lot of places. So, Skip, for me.
And he grew up in Snellville, which is maybe
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Right, yes, it's north,
Okay.
Gwinnett County.
Okay.
But, Lou, you can't do this.
So, again, Montrez has not been there. I think he's arriving, but he's going to have to quarantine.
Right.
Pat Bev, these are all for personal reasons or family reasons.
Right. Hell, Zubas is in a room. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't either. And Landry Shamet just got there, I believe. So these guys are not going to be available for the first restart game, the real game that does count in this year's standings against your Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to be down 5 key players on that night.
But Skip, Magic City has cost a lot of teams some games.
Well, I believe
it ain't just Lou Will. Magic City cost a lot of people some games.
Okay.
Throw Blue Flame in there, Onyx, Allure, all them. Strokers.
You speak from experience.
Follies, Cheetah, Pink Pony, Shooter's Alley. They closed that one. Body Tab on Marietta. They closed them.
Really? Sounds like you've closed all those places.
No, they ain't got no food. They food ain't like that in one in Magic City.
Really?
Oh, Skip. That menu, I got to get you a menu, Skip.
Yep. I was invited twice by 2 of our rapper friends to make an appearance at Magic City.
You turned it down?
I opted out. I just thought, I'm not above going. I would probably have some fun. Ernestine would say, well, whatever, she wouldn't love it, but she wouldn't condemn it. But I just know somebody would snap a quick photo and I'd be up, look at Skip at Magic City. Ernestine, where are you?
Well, I mean, Precious might snap a photo.
Maybe.
She be watching you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just never know.
There's a time and a place.
The time and a place. You're right, Skip. You're right.
Time and a place. Sometimes I don't know about you guys. That's all I got. Your list, Shannon, a little too accurate. And Skip, good choice not to go.
No mercy. Back down.
With the salary cap expected to take a dip in 2021, the Cowboys have found themselves in a tough spot with Dak Prescott. Dak is set to make just over $31 million this year. That accounts for over 15% of the team's cap. If franchise tagged next season, Dak would get paid about $38 million and account for well over 20% of the team's cap before the potential plunge. So, Skip, interesting. How much cap trouble are the Cowboys in because of Dak?
Huge cap trouble. Shannon Sharpe, there's nothing about this that smells right to me. It all smells wrong. It all feels wrong. I believe we're witnessing the beginning of the end of Dak in Dallas. The blood is just gone too bad on both sides. it's hard not to blame both. And I do agree with your point. There might have been a way Jerry could have nipped this in the bud a long time ago if he had gone to Dak early on, the first moment he could have.
Right.
And I'm not sure he didn't try at that moment, but I mean going in with an offer that Dak at that point could not refuse.
Thank you.
Maybe this could have all been taken care of and we wouldn't have this fractured fairy tale that we have, because nobody has defended and supported Dak Prescott any more than I have in this seat over the last 4 years. I still love the man, and he's still a young man, but I love him as a football player, I love him as a quarterback. But I have lost some love for Dak Prescott as the face of the franchise. I'm sorry, I must admit, I am disappointed in my man, Dak Prescott, the way he, and maybe it's more from the agent. Sometimes it's more the agent's fault in doing than the players. But I don't like the way they handled this. I don't like it that his brother, Tad, immediately tweeted when the deadline came and went. What was it, last Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday. I don't like it that the brother, the older brother, immediately tweeted, in effect, I never was much of a Cowboy fan growing up, and it's going to be very hard for me to root for the Cowboys next year. That came from younger brother Dak. That meant that Dak and Jerry have fallen out. That meant that Jerry got his pride rubbed wrong, and that they had a Cold War down the stretch toward the deadline with very little communication, a lot of posturing, and a lot of it's your fault, no, it's your fault. There's a lot of spinning going on. And in the end, I don't believe Jerry ever got over the fact that he thought he had a deal before game number 1 last year. He told the media after game 1, it is imminent. And somebody said imminent, meaning he said days. Right. We'll have it done in days. So I kept coming in that week. This would be going into week 2.
Correct.
Okay, here we go. No, here we go. No, not today, not tomorrow, not the next day. And Dak and his agent, I believe, did just jerk the contractual rug right out from under Jerry Jones, and you don't do that to that man. He's got a bad temper. He will hold a grudge when it comes to negotiating. He prides himself on being an honest, straightforward, verbal handshake negotiator. And when you agree on the money, and I believe they had agreed during camp on the money, they just had to iron out some minor points in the contract.
Right.
And when you suddenly say, Jerry, April Fools, our price just went through the roof. Jerry never quite got over that. Dak bet on himself for the first 3 games and hit 3 home runs. And then over the last 13 games, Pro Football Focus ranked him the 15th best quarterback. I always say he's a top 10. I got him at the bottom of the top 10, 9th or 10th. But I believe they wanted Patrick Mahomes' money. I believe they wanted north of 40 a year. And Jerry just said, I can't do that. You're not Patrick Mahomes. Right. Not yet. You're 1-2 in the postseason. You haven't won an MVP. You haven't won a Super Bowl MVP because you haven't gotten me but 1 playoff win, 1-2. And you've had 2 really good years and 2 so-so years. So in the end, this feels so wrong. And it got to the point where the big shock to me, the big plot twist that we got from the story in question here, wait, Dak is still holding a grudge over the firing of Jason Garrett, a coach that I had little to no use for. I told you that I go all the way back to 2012 saying that's enough.
Right.
Because he kept going. He had 3 straight years of 8-8, 8-8, 8-8.
Right.
And Dak is still hanging on to Jason Garrett because Jason believed in Dak. Wait a second. In 6 of his 9 years, he lasted 9 years coaching America's team, and in 6 of them, they missed the playoffs.
Right.
That won't fly in Dallas, Texas, but it flew for Jerry because he loved Jason Garrett to a fault. And yet, I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to love the fact that Dak is still clinging to Jason Garrett.
Skip, I think the biggest thing is that the first coach you play for, Dan Reeves was my first coach. Skip, I'll always love Dan because I believe he gave me that first chance.
Yep.
And I believe he went to bat for me. Because at the end of the day, there were some coaches that say, well, yeah, we think we can get better. But Dan says, no, I believe in him. I believe when it's all said and done, he will be better than all those other guys that we could potentially have in this spot. Jason Garrett believed in Dak Prescott. When Jerry Jones wanted to go back to Tony Romo, it was, I believe, Skip, it was Jason Garrett, one of the very few times that he stood up and says, no, Jerry, I believe that's the wrong decision. Somehow, that found its way back to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has never, ever had a bad word to utter about Jason Garrett because he said, you know what? When everybody else probably thought that, put Tony back in there, we going to go places, that guy stood up for me. Skip, what I don't understand is that they knew Dak Prescott was going to cost a premium penny after his rookie contract. Why didn't you plan for this? See, I don't believe we planned to fail. We just failed to plan. Skip, you know Dak is coming. He's the quarterback, the most important position. He's going to cost more than DeMarcus Lawrence and Zeke Elliott by himself.
Okay, I believe they misread him.
Okay.
I believe they thought he's such a fine young man that he will take a team-friendly deal because he's all for one.
Yes.
He's all about the locker room, and he wants everybody to be happy. He wants everybody to get their money, and he'll get plenty himself, but he'll take a Brady-esque sort of a below-market deal to help us maximize the chances for him to win Super Bowl rings.
And then once he got Todd France, you should be, Skip, it's kind of like when we watching, we see criminal cases and things, and it's like, uh-oh, he went and got Johnny Cochran. Oh, he went and got that play. She went and got Laura Wasserman. Oh, she mean business. Once he got Todd France, the Cowboys should say, he mean business. Skip, he didn't go Skip, he didn't go to the guy that he had in his original contract. That should tell you everything you need to know. He means business because Dak felt that the guy that I got now, the type of money that I don't know if he's ever dealt with something like this. So I need somebody, I need a heavy hitter. I need a home run hitter. So he went and got Todd France. He could have got Tom Condon. He could have went and got Drew Rosenhaus or one of those guys, Lee Steinberg. But he got CAA Todd France. And you know,
he's a tough guy.
He is.
And he's got some big clients.
Yeah. So with that being said, the Cowboys should have reshifted their thinking. It's not going to be as easy. The likelihood of Dak giving us a discount because he plays quarterback for the Cowboys and because there's a monetary to be gained outside of being on the football field, you should have reshifted their thinking, Skip. They had to do that. But, Skip, like you said, and I told you this, I said, Skip, they're making a huge mistake. Once they let Wentz, once they let Goff get signed, I said, the price is going up. No, Dak, okay. You think that guy, he came out in that draft, and he's like, well, hold on. I won more playoff games than Wentz. I was rookie of the year in front of both of those guys. And you think I'm going to take less than them?
Okay, yet, in the end, I believe they offered him a fair contract.
Correct.
It was a little more than Goff and a little more than Wentz because it was $80 million guaranteed at signing. That was considerably more than those two got in their deal.
Yes.
Obviously, their deals were more a year and more before.
Correct.
Okay, so $36 million a year is fair market value for a quarterback of Dak's achievement level after 4 years. But I believe Todd France said, no, we've got to get up in the Mahomes ballpark. They weren't sure what Mahomes was going to get, but everybody guesstimated $45 million a year. Nobody guesstimated 12 years where you can prorate it like crazy and it becomes extremely team friendly.
They could have really gave him $200 million at the time of signing, and because it's 12 years, it's nothing.
Okay, so back to the cap. The cap is going to plunge. It's going to be a minimum of $175 million. And I don't want to just blow people's, minds out with all these numbers, but the point is that it's going to be a lot less, maybe $25 million less per team because of what we're going through, because of the pandemic and its impact on this coming season. We don't know exactly how it's going to impact it, but it's not going to be pretty. All of a sudden, you're tagging him for 31.4. Well, as you know, You can't prorate 31.4. It is cut and it is dry.
That's it.
You can't siphon it through loopholes in the salary. No, there are no loopholes.
No.
You have to accept 31.4. That's his cap hit this year.
Right.
And I'm going to remind everybody, that is $10.5 million more than DeMarcus Lawrence makes as the highest paid Dallas Cowboy.
Right.
And you can argue overpaid. You can argue Zeke overpaid, Amari overpaid, Jalen overpaid. You can argue all of them.
Right.
But by $10.5 million, the highest paid Cowboy will be Dak at 31.4. If you tag again next year, it's 38-ish.
Right.
That's up to 22% of the salary cap. Trust me on this. It's hard to surround him with the proper talent at 22%.
Right.
So it's no good for either side. I'm sure Dak is, he's grimacing about it because he wanted a Mahomes-type deal.
Right.
But it doesn't do Dallas any good either. He did not give them any hometown discount or team-friendly contract that would last 5 years that you could prorate.
Right. Skip, maybe if they come to Dak before Wentz and Goff, maybe if they offer him $36 million before they sign, now you're like, well, whoa,
Yep.
I mean, I'm going from $2 million to $36 million.
Yep.
Maybe that's something. Maybe that's something we can talk about.
Maybe.
But once he saw what Wentz and Goff got, and they had all these years still left on their contract, Dak like, nah, no deal.
So, bottom line. Do I think there's one way? I do. I think there's one way Dak retires a Dallas Cowboy, and that's if in this year or next year he gets them to a Super Bowl. And he's going to have to be the driving force of that. Are the odds against that? They probably are.
Well, you believe he will because you don't believe Zeke is the same guy that he was in his rookie season. So in order for them to get to and win the Super Bowl, you're right.
It would
you
be
believe
all Dak all the time.
Yes.
That's what I do believe.
Okay.
Do I believe they have a chance? Yes, I do. Are the odds not with them? Obviously, they're not favored to win the Super Bowl, and they got a lot of better teams ahead of them.
Right.
But the point is, can you do that? Because if you did that, I believe Jerry Jones would crumble and cave and say, here, you got your lifetime.
He got no choice because Skip, it's hard to see everybody else get paid. You sit back patiently. Skip, you got to realize Dak was making $400,000, $1 million, $2 million, and here come all of a sudden you see a guy get $60 million to sign, $40 million to sign, and I'm like, whew, I can't wait. Skip, all you say that, boy, I can't wait till I get my turn at the bat.
Yep. Okay. So in the end, it just feels wrong to me, and I don't believe he'll last more than 2 years in Dallas, and he'll be on the open market, and they'll be going to the next.
Oh, that gonna be my favorite player then.
Yep, he will be.
Back and forth with Dak. It's so confusing. I don't know what side you're on. Former All-Pro running back Maurice Jones-Drew is a big believer in Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. MJD said Brady will pass for nearly 5,000 yards and 55 TDs. That would be a career high for Brady, who threw for 50 in 2007, and it would also tie Peyton Manning's NFL record for most in a single season. So, Shannon, what's your realistic number of touchdowns that you see for Tom Brady?
Skip, I think when we first started talking about this, I said I could see somewhere in the high 20s, low 30s. Fox Bet said it at 29.5. So I'm right where I think where it's going to be, somewhere in the high 20s, low 30s. I would say I give him a high of 32. I say a low around 27. So he'll be somewhere within there, Skip. There's no way. Skip, let this sink in for a second. There's only one player that's hit 40 tubs in a season since Peyton threw 55. That's Mahomes. He hit 50, 2018. So I know they put up there and they throw the ball all over the field, but 50 touchdowns is still a lot. That's 50 touchdowns is basically a little over 3 a game. 3 a game. Not getting that. Peyton did. I mean, think about it. With Peyton's first year in Denver, he went for 37, and he had Demaryius Thomas, he had Eric Decker, he had Jacob Tamme, he had Brandon Stokely. 2 of those guys he was very familiar with. Tamme and Stokely he had played with before. I don't see it, Skip. I don't see him getting 50. For guys to have 2 seasons of 40 or more touchdowns, I just don't see it happen. I think he could have a good season. Like I said, high 20s, low 30s. But hey, there's no way, 0 chance he's getting 50 touchdowns this season. 0.
So, by the way, you did say you could see him throwing 32, right?
32, yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me that a guy you consider a washed-up rag arm of a quarterback could throw 32 touchdown passes, which would have ranked 3rd last year in the league.
Yeah.
Because Lamar had 36.
He led the league, yeah.
Yeah, Jameis had 33, was second, so 32 would have been right there, third, right? Top 5.
But he didn't. He threw 20-something, so which was probably more likely he's going to throw 20 more something.
So I told you early on, just after he went down to Tampa Bay, I said he'll throw 40, and you laughed at me.
Yeah,
at
I'm still laughing.
Okay, second grade math would tell you that 40 is a pretty safe bet, Fox bet. And I think it's actually a conservative prediction, considering he just got Gronk in Tampa Bay. So he's got 2 Pro Bowl receivers he did not have last year. Obviously, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He has O.J. Howard, who could be the next Gronk, especially once Brady gets a hold of him, because he's got Gronk potential to me. He's got the size. He's got more speed than Gronk ever had.
Right.
He's as big but faster, right? And Cameron Brate has proven himself to be an extraordinary red zone target. So watch what happens with him. And then we go down the line. We got quick little Scotty Miller in the slot who's going to do some damage. And I told you, beware Tyler Johnson. They stole him in the 5th round out of Minnesota because he did not run a 40-yard dash.
Right.
He would not time for anybody, and I don't think he runs very fast. Pro Football Focus ranked him the most productive receiver in college football over the last 2 seasons. So remember, he got added to the mix, and do not forget my little man Keyshawn Vaughn coming out of the backfield, out of Vanderbilt University. He will be a James White type receiver because he can catch it and he can go with it. He can take it home for you. So all of a sudden, I look at this. This is the best receiving core in pro football. This is the exact flip side of what he didn't have last year in New England. And Jameis, with this group last year with no Gronk, threw 33, but he threw 30 interceptions.
Right.
He lost 5 fumbles. He had 35 turnovers. Those are 35 empty trips where you had 12 more turnovers than any other quarterback in the league.
Right.
Tom last year in New England had a grand total of 9. So 35 down to 9, that's 26 fewer turnovers.
Yeah, but Skip, in order for you to maximize what this offense is, you're going to have to put the ball in harm's way. And Jameis did that a lot. You remember Chris Godwin say, we put all the, everybody talks about Jameis, but all these interceptions was not Jameis's fault. You're going to have to put, Skip, in order for you to maximize what this offense is, you're going to have to push the ball down the field. And look at the quarterbacks that Bruce Arians have coached, and look at their interceptions. Always high. Andrew Luck was high. Peyton Manning was high. Carson Wentz was high. No, excuse me, Carson Wentz. Carson Palmer, was high.
Yep.
Skip, no biscuit, no basket, something like that. Yeah.
No risk it.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Yep.
So you're going to have to push the ball down the field. The question is Tom going to be willing to push the ball down the field, put the ball in harm's way in order? Skip, you do not catch a 1,000-pound marlin fishing from the shore. You got to go to the deep. You got to go where they are. So is he willing to go catch the big marlin by throwing the ball deep, putting the ball in harm's way, or is he just going to catch those little perches, those little brim? What are you going to do? Because he been nickel
what
and
if he
diming.
catches so many perches, the boat is full of them? 10 perches equal a marlin.
No.
Yeah,
You know what? I've seen a lot of trophy fish. I've never seen nobody put a brim on the wall. I've seen them put bass. I've seen them put marlin. I've seen them put tuna. I've never seen a brim or a perch on the wall.
Okay.
So what are you going to do, Skip?
Question: has Bruce Arians ever coached the GOAT? Is it possible the GOAT... Wait a second. The GOAT will coach Bruce Arians.
Stop that.
I'm talking about the GOAT. I'm not talking about Peyton. He's not the GOAT. I'm talking about the GOAT.
Hold on. You make it seem so Peyton was a bum, huh?
Well, but he was just growing into being... He was a baby, right?
Well, your guy need a cane. Yeah, how you going to throw a touchdown with a cane in one hand and a football in the other?
How are you going to throw 32 touchdowns, says the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, with a cane while you're walking with a cane?
I said that would be a high.
Well, you're sort of hedging your bet there, Fox bet.
Skip, first of all, Tom Brady's going to throw the ball over 500 times.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
So, then you making it seem like he going to just put up these... No. MJD said he's going to have 55.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Zero chance that happens. He's not even getting 50. He's not getting to 40. And you and I got 3 cases say they don't get 40.
We do? Is this a new bet? I don't know that bet.
Yeah,
I thought we had 3 cases that it would be above Fox bets. What is it?
29 and a half, I think.
Okay. I got 3 cases more than 29 and a half. That's the bet.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. You'll give me that?
I'll give you that.
Oh, so you already give me the 3?
No, I'll give you that. No, I'll give you 3 bets. I'll give you 3 cases for that.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good to go. So I'm going to give you 1 shot, 1 out.
What?
Did you see the story that his left tackle, Donovan Smith, who I think is just an average left tackle, but he's a veteran. He is saying, it's too risky for me to play. He just had a new baby daughter. It's too risky for her and my wife. Okay, got it. Now, will he reconsider because he makes, what's he supposed to make, $14.5 million next year? Will he say, boy, I don't know if I can leave that on the table?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That should help baby girl with some college.
Okay, but if he does not go, then that would mean Tristan Wirfs, who is a right tackle at Iowa. I think they stole him in the draft. They moved up 1 slot to take him. I thought he was the best of the tackles, left or right, but he was more right. Could he move over as a rookie and play left tackle? I don't know. Be hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so this could be hard on Tom. If Donovan Smith decides I'm staying home, then you might have me because that could cause big problems in that. It could cause
I'm going to have you anyway. You make it seem like, he's just going down there and they're just going to just light it up.
40.
Skip, I remember a team, might have been, 2008? You remember? You remember that team in Philly? The Dream Team? You remember they had D-Jack and Macklin and Selleck and Michael Vick and
Dream Team
McCoy.
got named by the backup quarterback.
You naming this
right?
one. You name Tom Brady about to throw 50 touchdowns. No, he's not.
40.
No.
Yep. Oh, we got a bet. I got 3 cases on above 29.5, and I am good to go. He might have 29.5 after 8 games. He might.
A lot of confidence over there.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay, 29 after 8 games.
No mercy.
All right, guys, during an Instagram live session, Dwight Howard did his best Shannon imitation that included calling Lakers in 7. Check it out.
See, now listen now, Skip, I told you now, AD and LeBron just came in here now, Skip. So listen now, Skip. When you... You thought I was talking to Skip? Yeah, I did. Listen, Skip. The Lakers now, listen now. The Lakers, I got the Lakers in 7.
All right. Skip, that was good. Shannon, how much did you like this impression?
I liked it a lot. It shows Dwight watching the show, Skip.
Yeah, that's true.
But you notice when AD and LeBron came by and he said Skip, they looking for that smoke.
Yeah.
They're like, he said, you thought I was talking to Skip for real? And he's like, yeah, I did. Yeah, they know what's up, Skip. Man, look, everybody getting in on cracking jokes at old Shannon's expense, I see right now. But I like it. I don't have a problem with that, Skip. And I think the thing is now is that I get that a lot. Everywhere I go, everybody says Skip. That's what they refer to me as, a Skip. But it just shows, Skip, they're close. They're a close team. You look at, they're having a good time.
I'll buy that.
And they're having a good time in the bubble. They don't need to go outside the bubble to have a good time like the team that you thought was going to represent the Western Conference and the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we got bubble trouble.
Yeah, y'all in trouble. I love this, Skip. I love it. Good job, Dwight.
So, as much as I love that he was giving us a little free publicity, I did not think it was a great Shannon Sharpe. I called it Dwight Sharpe, but I did that with quotes around it because he was trying to be Dwight Sharpe, and it didn't come off nearly as great as, say, Jamie Foxx. Hey, Jamie Foxx was bullseye, dead on.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Game over, right?
Yes.
And I also don't think LeBron was real impressed that Dwight was doing whatever he's doing, IG Live. I guess he was. And it looks like it's in kind of the locker room.
Right,
right? Didn't it look like they were coming in from practice? Or maybe from lifting weights or something?
Coming from practice or ending practice or something.
Yep, right? Okay, so think about this. Dwight is, let's give it, in the locker room, and he's got his camera stand set up, maybe in his locker, and he's going IG Live, and he's doing his impression of Undisputed right after practice, because they're walking in like they just got finished, right?
Yeah.
Okay, LeBron took one look and walked, he said, enough of that. Okay, I don't know that LeBron would have loved him doing that in the locker room. Don't you think it's a little weird that Dwight would be going IG Live? Remember once upon a time what Antonio Brown did after a game in Kansas City? Not quite the same magnitude or circumstance, because they had just won a playoff game. And unfortunately, the coach was speaking to the team in private, and you know the rest of the story. He took a shot at New England, and then they had to go up to New England and get their butts kicked the next week. Okay, so to me, I think LeBron is all in, all business in the bubble.
Absolutely.
And I think he would look sideways at Dwight, as much as he enjoys Dwight and his happy-go-lucky spirit that he brings to the team. And Dwight has played very well. He's been a very valuable off-the-bench backup center for this team. Played valuable minutes, set valuable picks. He's done a lot of valuable things for this team. He is still a presence and a force. What has been the one knock on Dwight Howard his whole career?
He don't take it seriously.
He just doesn't take it seriously enough, because what happened his first go-round in L.A., he starts coming out before games shooting hook shots from half court, and there was a former...
With a backpack on.
Yeah, with a backpack on. And there was a legendary Laker who was the team leader at that time, and he said no. And he was all over Dwight Howard, and pretty soon he wanted Dwight Howard gone from Los Angeles, and I'm talking about the late, great Kobe Bryant, obviously. And Dwight soon wound up with the Houston Rockets, and then he was sent packing again, and we know he bounced all around.
Atlanta to Charlotte
and
to
here
Memphis.
he is, and he's at the right place at the right time. But I think LeBron is like, come on, Dwight, you have to go straight in the locker room and go IG Live. That's not how you stay 100% committed. At least go back to your room and do it.
No, he ain't want Dwight talking to you.
No.
Because he know that you have been very, very derogatory.
I have not. I've been honest.
No, you ain't been honest.
I said a lot of good things and a lot of not so good things about LeBron James. Somebody on this show has to be honest about LeBron.
If you say goatish, it would have no problem.
Goatish?
He's a goat.
Yeah, well, he is the GOAT of games, as in he's the reason they lose some games.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But the point is, are you okay with Dwight doing IG Live in the locker room right after a practice in the bubble? I'm not.
Well, I'm sure. I know. I just think the locker room would normally be.
It's like a sacred place. You
but I think the thing is there was nothing being discussed. I mean, we see a lot of guys. There was nothing being discussed. So I'm gonna give him. I will lax the rules a little bit, because there's nothing of significance being discussed. There's no conversation going on between two players. There's no conversation between the coach addressing the team or anything like that. So I don't have a problem with it. He just, but I think the thing is, Skip, is that LeBron and AD and the other guys have come to accept this is who Dwight is.
Okay.
He's not going to be, Skip, that's not what he is.
He is fun-loving.
Right. So you're going to have to accept him.
By the way, I looked up last night. I think he's made $235 million in his career. So he's happy. He's doing okay.
He's laughing all the way to the bank.
$235 million? Are you kidding? So he's along for a great ride right now, and he should know that, and he should play to that and try to keep it inbounds, serious inbounds.
As long as you keep on giving us those eight points, 8 rebounds, a couple of blocks a game, we good.
Okay, so you got 2 X factors right now. Obviously, you lost Avery Bradley. Can't get him back. That's over and done. You will miss him some. 3 and D. Got that. But Kuzma is an X factor, because the other day against Orlando, he went crazy, nutty hot. Like he went Twilight Zone hot as he can. Sometimes he goes cold. Sometimes he plays really good.
But Skip, if he does that on a regular basis, they won't lose a game in the playoffs. If he shoots like that. But we also got a little bit from Dion Waiters. You see Dion Waiters?
I like Dion, but I've always liked him. And I believe you can call upon him and he will deliver in big moments. He will. But Dwight, you never know. Is he all in or not all in? And again, I don't think Dwight will take anything from any guff from LeBron. Like LeBron can't call out Dwight the way he might be able to call out some of the other backup kind of players.
But Dwight knows this is as close, I mean, with the exception of the getting to the finals against Kobe. This is probably his last best chance.
Well, he better know that.
And look, there are a lot of people that didn't, I mean, think about it, Skip. Charlotte had him for a cup of coffee and they got rid of him. And Memphis, like, you can start talking to other teams if you want to. They didn't even want him. So he understands. Now, you've been on a lot of teams. I mean, you went from Orlando to Atlanta, to LA to Houston. So you've been 16, Skip.
No, I got it. So I posted something the other day calling out Dwight. I said, nope, you're wrong, Dwight Sharpe. It's Clippers in 7. I rescind that. I take it back. It's over.
No.
That was about the time Lou went to Magic City.
Didn't take much. I still can't wait for Thursday, though. That will be fun to be watching some basketball, guys.
No mercy.
According to reports, the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau have nearly completed a 5-year deal that would make him the team's next head coach. Tibbs' last coach for the Timberwolves before being let go. Shannon, is this a good hire or bad hire?
Bad hire. A recycled, uninspiring hire, Skip. I mean, he was with Minnesota. He's a defensive guru. They finished 27th, 25th, and 17th in defensive rating. I don't know how many more jobs is he going to get before Mark Jackson gets an interview. He's had more jobs than Mark Jackson has had interviews.
Good question.
What about Ty Lue? Did somebody go get Ty Lue a job? What about Mike Woodson? The last time the Knicks went to the playoffs, he was the head coach. And they just keep hiring these guys over and over. Oh, Tibbs. It's Thibodeau, but he goes Tibbs.
Yep.
Oh, he's great. Skip, he might be better situated. And we see this a lot in the NFL, Skip. We see offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, great. But when they become head coaches, not so much. Maybe he's better suited as an assistant sitting next to Doc Rivers.
He is. He's a defensive coordinator who should be kept off camera and out of harm's way when it comes to coaching kids. The young players the Knicks have and they're about to draft, if they get a top, it could be LaMelo.
Might get Melo Ball.
Just might. It won't work. They can't relate. They can't respect.
Right.
He played D3 at Salem State up in Massachusetts.
Right.
He doesn't look the part.
Right.
He doesn't act the part. He's as far from any of those coaches you named as you can get.
Right.
And young players are like, seriously? How did he get to be a head coach in the first place?
Skip, that style worked when you got a KG. You got veterans, Paul Pierce. You got Ray Allen.
He had Derrick Rose.
Right.
And then he had Jimmy Butler, and that worked.
Joe Kim Noah.
Yeah.
You got Skip and Taj Gibson. You got guys. Yeah,
I got it because the record was very good. He was 255 and 139 with the Bulls. But then he got KAT and he got Wiggins and he got Zach LaVine, and they went nowhere fast.
I wasn't when Mark Jackson gonna get an interview. When that's gonna happen? Because then Mark Jackson can't even get an interview.
I'm a fan.
That is it for Undisputed today, guys. So good to be back with you. Always a good time. Join us same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Have a good day, guys.